Hardy. There was a Patriots game yesterday.
Glorious day at Gillette Stadium. The sun was out, the stands were full-ish, and it was really a must-win situation for the Patriots. 1-3 on the season against a banged-up 1-3 Miami team, and it's time to make even just a small whimper of a statement on this season. Are you going to have a season? Are you going to play some football for your home fans against a division rival that is gettable? Well, the first thing you're going to do is bench Rhamondre Stevenson because he hasn't been able to hold on to the ball, giving Antonio Gibson a chance.
A handoff to Gibson, running left, tries to turn it up. He stays on his feet off contact. Left sideline, 45-50. And he shoulders into a defender. Top it over by Marcus May at the Miami 45.
So Gibson established himself early as a runner, but Rhamondre Stevenson actually came into the game and had a decent game, I would say, going back to week one in terms of his productivity, 12 carries for 89 yards. So the running game somewhat working yesterday.
Over 100 yards rushing.
Yeah. And on how many carries? 19. And how many times they throw the ball? 34. And Van Pelt would stand up in front of you and he would go, well, what I guarantee you, I didn't even listen to it. I don't care what he has to say. But Van Pelt would probably stand up in front of you and go, oh, well, you know, they were showing they were in a set that, you know, was set up to stop the run, so we had to throw. No, you didn't.
No,
you didn't.
No.
Throwing didn't work.
Well, why didn't it work?
Miami shows blitz. Extra rushers coming, and Brissett has no chance. Took the snap, and down he goes. Sacked immediately by Zach Sealer. Second sack for Miami.
Oh, man.
And a 3-and-out for the Patriots.
Look, here's your boost. First series. Thought it'd be a little later. But, I mean, this is a right side cave-in. Michael Wenu, who's right guard, basically slides out and just lets a guy come right up the middle. He's got to be better than that.
Yeah, the change from right tackle to right guard, and in the offensive line coach, you know, we like him better at right guard. That's the position he's better suited for, and then that happens.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this, is that Brissett's not good, and maybe part of why he's so bad is you know, he's gun shy and he's been getting hit a lot. There's no question about it. But for whatever reason, Brissett's not a good quarterback. Why they don't have a veteran backup on this team to go to when games are going like this, I'll have no idea. But again, you didn't have to score a lot of points yesterday. The run was working. I don't know why you went away from it. Even if they're loading up to stop the run, just run into it. What difference is it to go 3-and-out throwing or go 3-and-out running? At least there's a chance someone breaks something.
At least you're picking up 6 yards
on
those three runs.
And you mentioned Gibson starting. 6 carries, 52 yards. That's 8.7 a carry. He carried the ball 6 times. Go ahead.
The last drive, and I know we'll get to it, but it just, since we're on the subject now, it bears bringing up that the Patriots ran the football. They went right down the field with less than 3 or 4 minutes to go. You get the ball inside the Miami 20 and then pass the ball 4 times.
We'll get to it. But, you know, we're talking about their inability to throw. And we were talking with Bert about this when he was in here. Brissett got his head taken off on a 3-step drop the week before. Even when he has a little bit of time, because on these quick throws, they'll look at an empty set. And I heard Zoe say it a couple of times yesterday, look for something quick here, look for something quick, even when he has a little bit of time.
Douglas sprints in motion to the near side. Brissett drops back short set, and he's in the pocket under pressure immediately. And down he goes, and that has been the story as Jacoby Brissett is dropped at the 33 on a sack by Ogbah.
5-step drop. He gets a chance to look, and then he tucks up underneath. Like, 5-step drop, you're looking, ball's got to be coming out of your hand. It's got to be out.
On a 5-step drop, you should be able to have a couple of reads and then make a throw. And if you're not making a throw, then I don't know what help. Not that the offensive line is good, and not that the receivers are getting open on a consistent basis, but you got to get rid of the ball.
Shouldn't you base your offense on the fact that your offensive line can't block?
I don't know how much it was on the offensive line yesterday.
Well, Phil Perry's timing, how much time that Jacoby Brissett had to throw the football, and he wound up somewhere around 2.4, 2.3. Let's think about that. Is there really time for a 5-step drop when you have under 2.5 seconds to release the football?
No, but there's quarterbacks that get rid of the ball that fast. In fact, Rodgers, who sucks, but Rodgers has been getting rid of the ball under 2.5 on average. and I'm not saying he's good, but I'm saying that it can be done. You can run offense that does that, or you could not throw. You could not throw the ball 34 times. They weren't down 3 touchdowns. They were playing with a lead for a vast majority of that game, or at least a majority of that game. They were playing with a lead. I don't understand. Well, they were in sets to stop the run. Okay, well, you can't pass. Yeah. So there's a puncher's chance, as which they said a lot yesterday during the radio broadcast, so I'm sort of stealing it.
Because there are so many punts.
There's a puncher's chance that you can break something on a run.
But even if there was an illusion in the first half that they were running the football. They had 98 yards of offense in the first half. 33 of them came on one play.
I understand that, but you had 30. But I'm saying that it doesn't matter then. Yeah, well, you're still proving my point. You had no offense, and you were throwing the ball. You said there's this illusion they were running the ball. There's not an illusion they were running the ball. But Rhamondre Stevenson, there was 2 long runs, but that proves my point. The 2 longest plays were runs.
Well, how about this, Fred?
Or 2 of the 3 longest plays in Hunter Henry at the end of the game had a 25-yard catch. If you take that out, if you had 2, with no time left.
Let's throw the ball in the middle of the field.
And no timeouts, right. Yeah. But if you take that Hunter Henry catch out, the 2 longest plays were runs. So none of this is counter to my argument. The 2 long plays you had in that game that weren't the terrible play to end the game were runs. So it's not that you were explosive. Get out of here. I would have let me be the offensive coordinator. That I could do.
No, Alex Van Pelt was horrible yesterday.
Horrible.
Just like the offensive line was horrible. Just like the wide receivers for the most part are horrible.
I don't blame the offense. The offensive line sucks, but I don't even blame them for that.
It's not just that they can't block. It's the mistakes. I'm sorry, Hardy. I'm sure you have a litany of sound to get to, but just the constant terrible penalties on both sides of the ball. I mean, 12
that was going to be my point.
Awful.
So let's, we're just shotgunning everything here. Fred, you're absolutely right. You keep running the ball. You could abandon the passing game altogether. But when you keep making mistakes.
12 men on the field, defense, prior to the snap.
That's on a punt.
That was on 4th down.
Okay, that was on a punt.
I mean, they had 2 or 3 penalties on special teams that killed them. Sorry, we're shotgunning again.
Brutal, absolutely brutal mistake. The one thing you can't do, have 12 men on the field or get fooled on the fake.
Which the 12 men on the field, the personal fouls, we're going to get to when we get to the final drive, another horrific mistake. It doesn't matter if you're running the ball consistently, if you do have any type of success in the passing game, they're not learning from their mistakes, and they continue to make mistakes. You look at Gerard Mayo and the way he came out and started the season, you're like, oh, he's got these guys to buy in a little bit. You pick up that first win against the Bengals, and you're thinking, all right, he's got everybody on board and paying attention. I don't think they're paying attention anymore.
It's interesting. Chris Myers and Mark Sanchez said early on in the broadcast, I don't know if you saw this, Fred, that, we were at Friday's practice. It wasn't exactly crisp. It wasn't exactly, in and out and doing things fast.
I heard him say that.
Usually that's a precursor to bad play on Sunday. This is a good Sanchez. That's one of the things Sanchez got right yesterday. And you take a look, like, for instance, the block punt by Schooler in the first half. And the Patriots take 7 plays to go 8 yards and take about 4 minutes off the clock and kick a field goal. I mean, it just they can't get out of their own way. Nick Leverett, a holding call on 3rd and 15 to push him way back. You almost had to laugh watching this team. These are the teams that we used to make fun of 5 years ago.
Well, it's not like Miami's any better. And I'll tell you that they should have won this game. And I'll tell you this, is I know why they were good in the beginning of the season. I absolutely know why. Is because they had a training camp that was set up to win the first 2 games. And everyone else had a training camp that was set up to be healthy in the playoffs. And that's exactly what happened. Is that in good for Mayo, because they came out and they won a game and they took Seattle to overtime. They took an average team to overtime. And good for them, but that's what happened. The reason they beat the Bengals is because the Bengals half-assed training camp. That T. Higgins was hurt. Jamar Chase didn't practice. They didn't play their offensive line. All those things, and the Patriots came out like in mid-season form, and that's why they won the game. But you know what they did that game to win? They ran the ball. Go ahead.
They did have the lead, as you mentioned, Fred. They had a chance to increase that lead before halftime.
Douglas in the slot right. It's a low snap. Brissett looks that way. He pumps back left, and then he tosses the ball to the back foot with a throwaway.
You got in the middle. You got 3 guys in a 5-yard area in the middle of the field, and they're all picking each other. How can you have 3 guys over the football, 20 yards downfield, all within 5 yards of each other? That's unacceptable.
And especially on a 3rd down and 5 play.
Yeah. It's remarkable.
But they went into the locker room up 7-3. So, believe it or not, after everything else, because the Dolphins kept making dumb mistakes.
The snap from Ferguson again. And it's a ground ball picked up by Bailey. Tries to put the ball down.
Come on.
The kicker picks it up, and he is tackled. It has been a comedy of errors
It's like Keystone
thus
Cops.
far today, especially on special teams for the Dolphins. As the snap was rolled back into the hands of Jake Bailey, Sanders reached down the kicker and wound up in a pile.
If this team beats you today, it's an embarrassment. Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right, foreshadowing. If you don't know what happened, we'll talk about the second half next.
Did you see in the first half where they were in field goal range and then Huntley wasn't ready for the snap and the guy shot it right past him and it rolled all the way back to the 40 and took him out of field goal range? I mean, this is the team you lost to.
I'm starting to think Mike McDaniel's not that good at coaching. Because all it took was them to lose Tua, and then every day in Hawk Tua. Every time I hear Tua now, I think Hawk Tua lady. Much to the consternation of my son, who does not like the Hawk Tua
He didn't
lady.
like Hawk Tua?
He does not like Hawk Tua, and he does not like Whitney Cummings.
You want to know what's crazy? Your son probably thinks Hawk Tua lady is old. He probably thinks of her as, like a grown woman.
Maybe, but there's something about her. He was like, who's this woman? Not Hawk Tua lady, but the Whitney Cummings.
On the podcast.
No. This is something else different, but she was on a podcast before the Hawk Tua podcast.
Yes.
And she was on with the comedian Whitney Cummings.
Yes.
And my son's like, who? I hate her. And I'm like, what? Who? And he's like, that woman. And I'm like, that's Whitney Cummings. She's a comedian. He's like, it's the first person I've ever heard him really despise. And I was like, you're a chip off the old block. I don't mind Whitney Cummings. But by the way, yeah, in that Seattle game, they ran 36 times through 27. And then I'm going to look real quick right here, and then we'll get back. We'll take a break and come back. But in the Bengals game, let's see here what they did. They threw 24 times and ran 39. So there you go. The 2 games that they've been competitive in, they ran far more than they passed. And I don't know why they did it yesterday. And again, Alex Van Pelt will tell you that the defense was set up to stop the run. And to that, I would say, okay, you can't pass. So what difference does it make? Run into a brick wall. There's a puncher's chance you break one. There's no chance you're throwing downfield. There's none. You don't have a good quarterback. Your offensive line sucks. Your receivers suck. You're not throwing it. You have 2 backs that are capable, if things break right, to take 10 yards. That's your best bet. And then guess what? The clock runs, and everyone gets out of there. And the crowd doesn't leave early. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines. Mike, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, what's up?
Yes, the Patriots suck. No question about it. But so does the entire league. You know they only have 3 opponents left on the schedule that are over 500 through 5 games, and one of them is the Bears, so God knows where that's going to go. Like, this is what we are in for the next 12 weeks. Just absolute horse crap. Have a good morning, boys.
I don't know if anyone's going to be quite as bad as that Dolphins team.
No, I look at the schedule now. They may lose out.
Well,
there is that possibility they could lose out from here.
So you've got Texans next weekend.
Yep.
I would say anything can happen with the Jaguars.
I don't know. I saw Jacksonville move the ball pretty well yesterday.
Yeah, but they needed a field goal at the end to win it.
Jets, you probably lose. Titans, Bears. I would say that's a little bit more of anything can happen. You're going to lose to the Rams. I have no confidence you'd be able to go down to Miami.
They couldn't do that when they had Brady half the time.
Right.
I mean, they lose all sorts of ways there.
I mean, what, you're telling me that it's going to be an absolute war of attrition between the Cardinals and the Bills? No, Cardinals and Bills are going to put up points on you, and you're not going to be able to put up any points.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Chicago. I mean, I saw Chicago move the ball pretty well yesterday too.
Yeah, so I would like to think it. Well, no, nobody wants to think you're going to have to sit through another game like that, but it's not going to be a 15-10, just 3+ hours of misery every week. No, other teams are going to go out there and I think make things even more embarrassing for you. Now, the one thing we really haven't talked about, though, is the defense, which, again, you're up 7-3 at the half. Pats added another field goal afterward. Miami kicked a couple of their own, but the defense seemed to be holding their own until this drive.
It's unsustainable to ask them to stop Miami. As bad as the Dolphins' offense has been all game, when the offense is going 3 and out.
This is where the defense gets ticked off.
Hill starts in motion from the left. They hand off to Ingold, and the fullback takes it in on his feet to the end zone, and the Dolphins take the lead.
Right down your throat. And they overcame a big penalty on a big play. It's an embarrassing drive right there.
Alec Ingold.
I like what you said. That's where you put it. Right down their throat. Jazz. What?
Patriots certainly had a chance to win it at the end, and it looked like maybe they had taken the lead.
Shotgun snap to Brissett. Dropping back, 4-man rush. Throw down the middle. Poke is open. Leaping catch. Back of the end zone. Touchdown, New England.
Tell you what, Jacoby Brissett just saved his job with that throw.
Did he? Did he now?
His job wasn't even in jeopardy anyway, but yeah.
So I get stuff wrong all the time. We all do. In real time, I said, he's not in. Now, he was a lot closer to being in than I thought he was, but in real time, I said, no, he didn't get the back foot in.
Adrian Hill started toward the surface table. Here's the referee.
After review, it is an incomplete pass. The second foot landed in the white.
So the apparent touchdown is wiped off the board. He came down clearly with 1 foot in. The left toe, the right toes came in. The right toes came in.
Did, but this is that new rule.
Yeah.
Remember? Even if you get the toe, Brandon Bolden did this in Atlanta. Yeah. I'll never forget it.
Sideline, you can drag the toe, back of the end zone, the entire foot.
Huh? I didn't know that was a rule.
I didn't know that the end zone was any different, and he was just facing the wrong way is what you're telling me. If the toe's in and he's facing forward, it's a touchdown.
Correct. So 2 toes is not a touchdown anymore?
If you're going forward out, to the side of the end zone, 2 toes, yes. If you touch your toes and you're falling backwards or off to the side and the heel comes down out of bounds, you're out.
Has to be a deliberate toe tap, apparently, for it to count.
If he had tapped his toes, then lifted his foot and landed on his back, I think he would have been ruled in.
Okay.
Huh? Wait, so if your toes come down but then your heels go down out of bounds, that's not a catch?
Correct.
If you're going backwards, yes. That's right.
That's
the only way it would happen.
Yes.
But yes.
Who came up with that rule and how did they think of it? The minutia they must have been going through. My God, that must have been one bad bet that caused that rule. That's a weird. I didn't know that was a rule.
Yep.
Did anyone in this? Did anyone in this building know that was a rule?
Nope.
I mean, I think it occurred to Zoe late, and then watching on the replay, everybody in the stadium thought it was horrific. Pereira came on the broadcast and explained it, and obviously the people in the stadium didn't hear that, so they were.
I wonder if Pope
obviously
knew that
put
was the
out.
rule.
Oh no! He said afterwards he thought he was in.
Yeah.
He said I got my toe. I got my right toe down.
Because in college it's 1, in the pros it's 2. That seemed like enough of making it more difficult at the pro level.
You should have to. It shouldn't matter what direction you catch the football.
I just remember the tight end from the Jets where they called it not a touchdown.
Yeah, it was bobbling in midair as he crossed the goal line.
It was bobbling it in midair.
Yeah,
A little back and forth with
Came down with the ball.
with
It didn't hit the ground. He came inbound.
he didn't have control of the ball.
But
Fred.
they
That was
said when
clear.
it was in the air and
yeah.
he crossed the goal line, he didn't. It was juggling in his arm.
Yeah, it's an
Everyone knows
imperceptible
that rule.
movement.
It's the dumbest thing. I don't even care. It was it was just so insane.
So Jalen Polk was asked about it after the game.
As a receiver, catch the ball, get your feet in. Feel like that's what I did. Or I don't really want too much comment on, the ref situation and how they decide on, how they make the call. But, yeah.
They're saying that your heel was out. That was the reason why they officially didn't call it 2 feet in.
I don't know. I can't speak for them.
Did you do anything different on that play than you practiced?
We went and executed the play the way we practiced all week.
Ain't another rule. Another rule. All right. Final play of the game. Telling, by the way, Hunter Henry called for the false start on the 4th down, backed him up even more. They had another chance to win. We all know what happened on the final play of the game, where they gave Hunter Henry the field in front of the end zone, but came up well short. Time expires.
The snap is back to Brissett, dropping back, looking to throw.
Okay.
He steps to his right. He sets up. He fires down the middle for Henry. Makes the catch at the 10. They've got a hold of the line. There's only 3 seconds and 2 seconds left, and they're not going to have enough time to get another snap off. That's the game. Miami will win it by the 15-10 final.
This is the worst loss since Tom Brady left the Patriots. And there have been some bad ones. And maybe you start looking at tackles at the top of the draft next year, because that's where you head.
Well, yeah. I mean, we knew that.
Sure. We said that, during training camp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trade out of the first
Patriots
pick.
get a high pick, draft that kid from LSU, or drop down a few spots, gather some extra picks.
It's like 5 quarterbacks go in the top 10. You trade out of that sweet pick.
Just by virtue of it's the most recent. I mean, that's an interesting question. Is it the worst loss since Tom Brady left? I would have said it was, either the game in Germany last year, or maybe one of the blowouts in weeks against the Saints and the Cowboys. But
I don't know. I keep thinking about that game in the rain where they got shut up at the Chargers yesterday. That was pretty bad.
About the Jets game? The last game of the season was awful.
Yeah,
it was unwatchable. I mean, but it's a dealer's choice.
There's nothing to play for at this point. There's very little to play for at this point, other than are we going to have any kind of a season?
Right.
And you need to beat that team yesterday to have any kind of a season.
No, you're not going to have another season. And if you check the standings, ladies and gentlemen, your New England Patriots, based on strength of schedule, have the number 1 overall pick in the draft at this very moment.
Very good. There you have it.
Let's hear it.
And you trade out of that, and you pick up a bounty like the Bears did.
Yeah. You drop down 2, 3, 4 spots, get an extra first, a couple extra seconds, whatever it is.
And then
some teams will give you an insane amount of money for that number 1 overall pick. Amount of picks for that number 1 overall pick.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.